morning everyone and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. Now there's nothing better than mums cooking and getting together around the table and having a nice conversation, but these moments seem to be quite rare nowadays for a lot of families. And actually, did you know that it's quite bad for your health not to sit together as a family? So I'm going to be actually discussing and revealing some reasons why people should eat together as a family and how good it is for you. And also we've got some lovely guests tonight. We're going to have Amita and Gina, who are mum and daughter. And now they used to run a restaurant business together, but now they're running a PR company together and they're doing really, really well. And we also have Chef Dale Pinnock with us again to show us one of his mum's favourite dishes as well. So he's going to be preparing that dish for us a bit later on. But first of all, let's speak to the lovely Bianca. Now we've shifted her over this side today because we've taken over her bit of the studio, haven't we?
I know.
We've got food laid out this time. Hello,
It's
Bianca.
always strange when I sit over here.
Is it weird?
Yeah.
It's like you're one of my guests now, isn't it?
It feels like the show's not on because I sit here when I chat to you sometimes.
I know, it doesn't feel like we're even going out live, does it?
Are we live?
Maybe not. Maybe no one's watching. We're just in front of the cameras. Okay, so how are you?
I'm well, Chris. How are
Good.
you?
You've got some lovely articles for us.
I have actually. I've got some funny ones as well, as always.
All right.
So last week we saw the release of the new Grand Theft Auto 5 video game, which everyone has been going crazy about. It's become the fastest selling entertainment product of all time, selling more than 624 million in just 3 days.
Gosh.
They've been going crazy about it. And as you can imagine, people have been doing anything to get their hands on it, Chris. So in London, we did have some sad news. I've got to say it, but we did have some sad news.
We don't bring sad news on the show.
I know. Well,
I'll go on then. You just a little bit, so yeah. Follow with some happy news.
I will follow with some happy news. So the Grand Theft Auto fan was mugged just minutes after he bought the game.
Oh,
so
no.
it's like when it goes to like streams like that, that's when it's getting out of hand. It's ruining it for other people as well, isn't it? Because people are trying to enjoy it. And so on a lighter note, 2 teenagers in New York pretended to be police officers so they could get to the front of a queue of hundreds of people so that they could get the game quicker than everyone else. Can you believe it? So,
I mean, do these things actually sell out, or is it just because it's just like the Apple thing where they just have to be the first to get it?
I think it's that. I think they want to be the first to get it and they don't want anyone getting in their way, so they'll do anything.
So much hype, isn't it?
It's a lot of hype.
Sorry, when
so
the queue up for hours for sales, and I can't do it.
Like the next sale, that's on at like 4 in the morning.
I've never done that. I've never queued up
early
to go to a shop. I just can't stand the crowds.
Yeah.
And like people, please, just leave a lot of people together because I can't take it. I can't take a lot of people in one place.
And the Christmas sales as well, like, at Selfridges and Harrods, and they're cute. So early in the morning, I'm normally like getting up for Christmas Day and it's like 7 or so in the morning or 8 in the morning. And then I'm watching TV and they're just like hundreds of people just queuing and I'm in my bed enjoying my presents.
I know,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the 2 teenagers in New York, they flashed, pretending to be police, they flashed a fake badge and they told, I'll tell you about that. Oh, right. They told people queuing that they were with NYPD and people believed them. They used it to get, and they also used an out-of-service police car bought from an auction. I didn't even know you could get out-of-service police cars from auctions.
No.
I didn't even know that existed.
Well, you couldn't do that over here, I'm sure.
I don't know, can I don't know, Chris, can you?
Asking, I guess.
Yeah, and it had lights and sirens as well, the police car. And they got stopped eventually in their tracks by...
Well, look at the planning behind it just to get a video game. So go to an auction, get a police car, get the badges, and oh my God.
All that for the Grand Theft Auto.
Imagine if they used that brain to put into something actually useful. They'd be millionaires,
So police finally stopped them when they went through a series of red lights. So they had to do something like that to get eventually stopped. But had they have not done that and acted...
They would have got away with it.
Then they could have got... It's crazy, isn't it?
So they've been arrested? They've
been arrested now, only because they went through red lights. Then I think they revealed everything, unravelled everything that they'd done with the fake badge and everything. They're only 19-year-olds. They're only 19-year-olds as well. They're really young. And following on with more teenagers, 2 teenagers were asked, this is a funny one. They were asked to leave McDonald's after bringing cutlery and candles to the restaurant. So they brought, what McDonald's is like. You just get stuck in and you have your burger and your chips. But they thought it'd be like a good idea to sort of like bring a bit of class to McDonald's. So Chris, do you think that's a bad thing?
No, I think that's quite nice actually. Maybe
was
it like a couple?
No, it wasn't. It was 2 boys, but they were just like 2 friends, sort of like finding it. I don't know if they were.
They were probably taking the mick then.
Yeah.
But I mean, I suppose if like a guy was say taking the lady out and couldn't really afford anything more than McDonald's, and then he thought, let me at least make it a bit romantic.
Don't give them an excuse, Chris. So don't like tell them because they'll probably do this now.
Actually, I was in KFC once and I saw this little, she was so cute, this little old lady, and she actually had a knife and fork and she was cutting her burger.
Oh,
it was
that's
so
sweet.
cute. I was just watching her. She was so,
that is so
sorry,
sweet.
I know this has got nothing to do with anything, but I was on the bus yesterday. No lie, there was this girl sitting on the top deck of the bus, and she had a McFlurry, and she had her chips, and she was dipping her chips in the McFlurry.
Oh my gosh, that is disgusting. What, chips in the McFlurry?
And my husband said, "Look at what she's doing." I was like, I couldn't believe it.
That is disgusting.
Sorry,
That's
it had nothing to do with
disgusting.
absolutely. Yeah, she was a bit. No, yeah, I was. Yeah, I did kind of think she might have been pregnant, but
maybe it was a different craving.
Yeah.
But that's horrible.
Sorry to go off the point. Well, we are talking about food kind of today, so let's talk about crazy food.
Oh, it's like, I do like sugar and sweet popcorn. My favourite popcorn at the moment is sugar and sweet. So maybe she was doing that whole salted chips with the sweet.
Because the whole top deck of the bus smelled of chips.
But they do Coke floats, like Coca-Cola with scoop of ice cream. They do that, and that's I've tried that.
Bianca, with salt on it.
Okay, all right, let's leave it. It's disgusting. And so with the two teenagers that were like having brought their cutlery out, they brought with them a tablecloth, fake candles, wine glasses, and they even made a table centerpiece out of straws, the McDonald's straws.
Oh, why did they throw them out? I think that's quite funny.
Yeah, so the McDonald's staff member came over and told them if they didn't leave, they'd be banned. And the guys I think they were finding it funny because they were tweeting about it, saying, "Oh, this man thinks we're going to leave." But they managed to stay in the restaurant after the staff members and employees and also people just visiting McDonald's said they were on their side. They were on the two boys' side. So like the member of staff was overruled by everyone else. I imagine it like everyone cheering, like, "Yay, we're going to stay."
Let's all take candles to McDonald's from now on. Cutlery.
I think it's quite sweet, isn't it? It's something different.
Yeah.
And the schoolboys, they were schoolboys as well. They thought their choice of cutlery was inoffensive and can't understand why they were asked to leave.
Yeah.
I agree as well, actually.
Me too.
And motorists are used to being, told to watch out for cyclists on the roads. But they had a shock when an 8-year-old boy was found riding a tricycle down a highway alongside really fast cars. I know, it's horrible, isn't it? And so here's the little boy there.
Oh my gosh, is that actually him?
Yeah, this is him. It's awful, is it? Can you imagine if you were his parent? Oh my gosh.
Now, did he escape from a nursery?
I'd have,
we've had
a lot of that.
We've had a few stories on this show about little 2-year-old and then was it a 5-year-old?
Yeah,
that
escaped
and
escaped
walked all the way home by themselves, managed to find their house.
Yeah.
Past the canal and everything.
Yeah, these little ones are getting
just escaping all the time. I don't know why they don't want to stay in school.
Yeah, but I think that this was in Brazil actually. This guy was on this little boy where he was, but he's 8 years old. I think that an 8-year-old is sort of old enough to understand danger. Definitely. What do you think?
Well, it's not really his responsibility, is it? I think it's the parents or the teachers wherever
wherever
he escaped from.
To be on that road, isn't he scared?
Oh, come on, kids do that. Little boys especially, they just love adventure, don't they?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so he looked, apparently they said as well, the boy looked like he was having a good time despite being in such a dangerous position. At one point,
he would, with the cars whizzing past him with his little tricycle.
Like, yeah, boom, boom. And then at one point he even placed one of his hands in the air with excitement. So he was like loving the whole thing. Like, I bet he thought it was on some sort of video game. And the video received a mixed reaction, with many people worried about the boy's safety, of course. And despite the boy saying the dangerous ride was
hang on, there were people videoing him instead of...
No, just the CCTV, just like the cameras, the highway road cameras. And the social services want to speak to his family, despite him saying that like he had a cool time and stuff. Of course they're going to speak to the family. I can't believe it. But I don't know. I think that's crazy. Imagine finding out your child is on a motorway on a tricycle. It's horrible. Imagine being a driver. Imagine being a driver. I would have to stop
somewhere. You
somewhere.
can't even really stop safely as well.
No,
like in
you
those
can't.
kind of circumstances, that's probably caused an accident anyway.
Oh my gosh, poor little boy. I think he's okay. I think he got home safely, but And also this is a funny one, Chris. Chessington World of Adventures have now introduced an animal print clothing ban. So I wouldn't be allowed, would I, with my zebra print?
Well, you've got a bit of everything on there.
I've got everything on me.
What else you got?
They wouldn't like that at Chessington, would they? So that includes zebra, giraffe, leopard and African wild dog prints, because it has started to confuse the animals at the park park's new safari attraction. And get this, Chris, a number of the animals are trying to communicate with visitors and all running away scared, so that either, you know, want to interact with them or they're scared of the
I want to
sweetest
go
thing.
and do that.
No, you're not
Communicate
allowed.
with the animals.
You're not allowed. They've got bouncers who have been employed to enforce a zero tolerance ban at the park. So if you do turn up with a zebra print or leopard print top or so, you wear they give you like an overall to wear.
Really? Is it that bad?
Is that bad? Apparently. I know. They've introduced it. Is that bad? And they said that, this is funny, it's no wonder the animals are getting confused when they see what they perceive to be zebras or giraffes driving across the land in a 7-ton truck. It's true, isn't it? Can you imagine like a giraffe in a huge truck? I bet they're like, what is going on? When you see it, when you look at it that way, it's like, they're like, oh, it's good to understand.
Oh, the poor things. We've got time for one more, I
yes.
think, Bianca.
Okay, one quick one then. So with Marmite, they say you either love it or you hate it, right? To be honest, I don't love or hate it. I do like it. My sister.
You're the exception then,
yeah,
right?
I'm the exception to the rule. My sister absolutely loves it. She'll scoop it out with a spoon and eat it. And one man loves Marmite so much that he changed his surname by default to Marmite. So Sir Mayor, now Mr. Marmite, want to show his devotion and passion to the dark brown paste.
I think some people got nothing better to do, to be
haven't,
honest,
have
than change
they?
your name to Marmite. Come on.
I know. So he's been collecting. He said I like the smell, the taste, the texture, and I think I pretty much love everything about it so much he wanted to change his name.
Just marry it like that guy married the goat in Brazil. Do you just remember that story?
Oh my God.
Did we talk about it on this show?
Yeah, I think it was Patricia that was talking about it.
The man that married his goat, his pet goat.
He loved the goat so much, he married the
They
goat.
actually had a church wedding. Anyway, let's not go into that because I'm just getting me annoyed.
Well, he hasn't married Marmite yet, but maybe that will be what he's doing next.
Right. So, Bianca, we're going to go to a quick break. Thank you so much for your lovely stories. And after the break, we're going to be meeting our lovely guest, and our first one is Dale Pinnock. Join us after this. Welcome back to the show, and today's program is all about why families should eat together and the benefits to the whole family, even to your health as well. And now I've got Chef Dale Pinnock with me. Hello.
How you doing?
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
And all this lovely smells coming in this direction. So Dale, tell us about what you think about families eating together. Do you used to eat as a family at home?
Oh, all the time, yeah. I mean, as far back as I can remember, we always sat down virtually the same time every single day to a meal together. And I think it's an important bonding time, really. I definitely think families tend to eat better when they actually sit down together, take their time over it.
Yeah.
Make
Actually,
better choices.
having said that, because we have a few, this is all based on research though as well. So they're saying here that when families, and this is by the Archives of Family Medicine, when families eat together, everyone tends to eat healthier. People who have frequent family meals consume more calcium, fibre, iron and vitamins. Now, this could be because home-cooked meals are healthier than fast food and restaurant meals, of course.
Definitely, that's a big part of it. I mean, you know, when you're actually getting fresh ingredients and taking your time to actually prepare something for everyone, it's going to be much better quality than anything you get from a takeaway, you know. It's going to be much better than fast food.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to just read one more before we get into the
yeah, no problem.
Children tend to eat more fruits and vegetables when they frequently have dinner with their families. They also tend to eat fewer snack foods, and that's from the sources, the American Dietetic
Association.
So dietetic. I've never heard that word before.
Yeah.
Association.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So.
Yeah. Well, an interesting thing there, especially you find that when children are actually involved in preparing the meal as well. You look at children that will maybe like push green vegetables away off the plate.
Yeah.
You actually get them involved in cooking the meal. All of a sudden, they want to try.
They want to try it.
Yeah, completely
very
different.
Clever,
yeah.
Very clever.
Different shift there. So.
Okay. So what are you going to be making for us today, and why?
This is just a gorgeous, gorgeous dish. This is actually one of my mum's recipes. It's one that I kind of commandeered and tweaked a little bit, and you
changed mum's recipe, Dale.
Well, I didn't. I just didn't want to copy it to the letter, and it went into the book in the end. But it's one that always seems to come out at like barbecues and gatherings and dinner parties, and it's a caramelised red onion, beetroot, and feta tart. It's awesome.
I love all those ingredients.
Yeah, well, perfect ingredients, and they're things that marry together really, really well. So obviously, you know, we're not able to cook everything from here, so I'll go through what's in there and
okay.
you know,
You've got
what
to
you
come
do
to your
with it.
kitchen one day and film you, Dale.
Oh, it's got to be done, really, hasn't it? Absolutely. So you start off with some red onions. Red onions are always better than the white onions, and it's the red colour pigment that actually makes them better. The thing that gives it that colour pigment is a group of chemicals called flavonoids. And research has shown that can actually be quite protective to the cardiovascular system, can actually protect the inner lining of our blood vessels from damage. Okay. And then there's also something
and they taste better as well, don't they?
They do. They're slightly sweeter.
Yeah.
You know, they're less kind of aggressive in flavour, I think.
Less stinky, you mean?
Well, yeah, you know, that's basically what I'm trying to say.
You've just been polite.
Yeah. There's also something in onions called inulin, and this is what we call a prebiotic. So it's basically like a food source for the bacteria that lives in our gut. When the bacteria feeds on that, they actually start to multiply, and the bacterial colony within our digestive system actually strengthens.
Oh,
okay, so that helps with general digestion, with immune function, with the actual synthesis and creation of nutrients. So all sorts of good benefits there. And that's just the first ingredient.
Okay.
So you will slice those very, very thinly, start to saute them in a little bit of olive oil until they soften nicely. At that point, add a little bit of honey. Maybe a teaspoon and a half. Keep it cooking for a little longer, and all of a sudden they'll start to caramelise. And they'll become really, really sticky, and it's almost like a red onion marmalade, that kind of thing. At that point, you get some pre-made pastry. I have to admit, I'm quite rubbish when it comes to pastry. And to be fair, this is a treat.
I've seen a lot of TV chefs say they use like pre-bought.
Out the
Even
packet.
Nigella, she does as well.
Yeah, well, it's a lot less hassle.
Yeah.
This is kind of a treat. I wouldn't eat pastry every day. Obviously, it's not the healthiest of ingredients, but for a treat, it's wonderful. So you get some of the pastry, roll it out nice and thinly, put it into whatever shape you want, so in a circular base or whatever, blind bake it. Okay, as soon as it starts to rise, put some like baking beads or whatever, some dry rice in there to actually weigh it down. So you've got the case there. Put your red onions in there, and the next thing to go in on top of that will be the beetroot.
I love beetroot.
Again, you can get that ready cooked. You don't necessarily have to sit there and boil it up. Some amazing health benefits associated with beetroot. Firstly, that thing that gives it that lovely purple colour, that's something called beta-cyanin. Okay, one of the things we know about that is that it actually improves certain chemical processes in the liver that break down and remove toxins. Okay, so it's like a bit of a detoxifier, really. Okay. But then also, I mean, some amazing research been done in this country. I think it's the Queen Margaret University that did the research. There's something in there called nitrates. Okay, when we consume foods that are rich in nitrates, we convert them over into something called nitric oxide. And what that does, that actually tells the muscle in our blood vessel walls to start to relax. As that muscle relaxes, the vessels get a little bit bigger and the pressure within it goes down.
Stress buster.
It reduces blood pressure.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it doesn't replace a medication any time, but it's an ingredient that people that are obviously concerned about heart health can start to add to their day-to-day.
I eat a lot of that anyway, so that's good. I had some today, actually.
And then also it's got an amazing fibre content as well. Okay, so that's always really good for like stabilising blood sugar and digestive health. Dice it, put that on top. And then the final ingredient, one of my absolute favourites, one that we were talking about off air. Feta cheese. Fantastic stuff.
Now, is it good for you, though?
It is.
Or is it naughty, really?
Well, you know, as they say, the poison is in the dose.
Okay.
You know, if you eat a block every single day, probably not a good idea. But as far as cheeses go, the fat content's not too bad in comparison to things like cheddars or something like that. The fat's quite low. Sheep's milk and goat's milk, those two are much better tolerated by most people than cow's milk. So a sheep's cheese like that tends to be more gentle on digestion. The mineral content's much higher as well, much more magnesium, much more calcium
so it's
as
kind of
well.
good for you then,
Absolutely. And the good thing is some of the chemicals that you find in these two, you know, there's also some things in there called carotenoids that are part of the actual colour pigments that are in there. The fats in that cheese actually help your body to absorb it more effectively. So you see all these amazing ingredients, really simple ingredients, you know, there's nothing really special about them, but there's some amazing benefits that all start to come together.
Okay. Great. Now, this is the final result.
This is the final thing. And this is the bit you've been looking forward to.
So once you've got
it to that point, throw it into the oven.
Yeah.
I put it on a fairly high temperature. You only need to bake it, after you've done that partial blind baking, you only need to bake it for 10 minutes tops.
Okay.
Wait till the pastry starts to brown. At that point, and you'll see, you know, feta doesn't fully melt, it will just start to soften a little.
Oh, okay.
At that point, it's ready. Because obviously the beetroot's already cooked, the onions have done their thing with the honey.
You carry on talking, Dale, while I try it, because then the studio's going to go all quiet.
You see, it's a beautiful marriage. You've got the sweetness there from the caramelised onion, you've got a lovely earthiness from the beetroot, then you've got that sour hit from the feta coming through. And How good is
lovely.
that? It's awesome, isn't it? I've put a little bit of dried oregano on there.
I was
going to
say what herbs and stuff. That's lovely.
Yeah, because oregano and feta, again, those two go really, really well together.
I love it.
So it's just like a simple favourite. I mean, there's a multitude of benefits. Not only is it,
you could put olives on top of that, chopped olives.
You could do. I've done something similar actually with leeks, feta, and black olives. That's awesome. That works really, really well. Yeah, absolutely. But obviously, it's that family favourite. It's got that feel-good factor. Whenever I see that, it's just like
really nice.
It takes me straight back to those. Those times of having those like great family
And it's so
days.
simple, isn't it, to make,
So
especially
simple.
when you don't make your own
And
pastry.
it's good for you as well. I mean, especially if you don't make your own pastry.
Yeah.
Which
Okay,
I'm
that's
rubbish
lovely. Now let's go through a few more
Yes.
pointers here, so you can maybe let us know if you've heard anything like this. Now it says children in families who eat dinner together are less likely to be overweight. Now this is Archives of Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine, and also they're saying it's good for the brain. Now listen
Real
to this:
food, yeah.
children from families who eat meals together get better grades than their peers who don't have lots of family meal times. What do you think that is?
There could be a million and one things at play there. I mean, obviously, that kind of closeness, that family bond, I mean, that in itself is going to have an influence on behaviour. But then also, if you're eating a better quality of food, don't forget the brain and the nervous system, it's an organ like anything else. And as such, it's going to have its own unique nutritional requirements. When you're supplying it with a better standard of nutrition, it's going to function better. Absolutely.
Right. See, brain food.
Especially the oily fish.
Yes.
As much of that as you can get in.
I had salmon today actually at lunchtime.
Good move.
And brown rice.
I did as well.
And some butternut squash with beetroot salad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Nice, check us out. We're doing well.
All right, one more before we go to the break. And you're going to stay with us actually.
I am, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when families eat together frequently, children have better language skills compared to kids from families who don't have family meal times often.
Absolutely. Well, think about it. You're communicating more. Rather than just sitting there and gawping at a TV or playing a game, you're actually communicating. And,
so most people think it's just about sitting down and communicating and just talking, but there's so many other things to it, isn't there? Definitely.
So many other benefits.
All right. So we're going to go to a quick break, and we're going to have a bit more of that during the break.
Go for
it. Okay. But afterwards, we're going to meet a lovely mother and daughter who ran a restaurant together with Daddy, but now are running a PR company together and are doing very, very well. So they're going to be speaking to us after this, along with Dale as well. So do join us after this. Welcome back, and the break wasn't long enough because I didn't have time to eat some more, but I'm going to afterwards. But now I have with me mother and daughter team Amita and Gina Chrysanthou. Hello.
Hello there, Chrissy.
How are you both?
Fine, thank you. It's lovely being here.
So lovely to have you in the studio with us. So tell us, you had a restaurant business together. How was that, and how did it all begin?
Well, what happened was, at the time, as you know, the 70s and 80s were very interesting and challenging times, and we actually propelled ourselves into the unknown, into uncharted territory, and then trying to come out of it as entrepreneurs. It started off, we did actually have business experience prior to that.
That you and your husband?
Yes, that's right, my husband, Chris, and myself. Chris had already been working in his family business, in his father's family business, and as a butcher and provision store. They had a provision store and butchery. And from there, he ventured out on his own and joined Jackson's of Piccadilly, which doesn't exist anymore. But I think, Dale, you said you remember.
Yeah,
you remember the
tea
store.
Company,
tea company, sending, wonderful tea company on a par with, in fact, Fortnum and Mason's, and in Piccadilly. And after that, he joined Austin Reed's in Regent Street. So he did a stint there. And then he went into building and decorating, which is completely different, a completely different trade altogether. And it was when he was actually doing building and decorating, renovating, etc., that we thought it might be a good idea for us to look for premises that he could perhaps get himself involved in and start a restaurant.
So was it always a dream then of his to have
it was
his
a dream.
restaurant?
It was a dream, absolutely. And having said...
there we go, is that...
Yeah,
Sorry?
that's me and my dad.
yeah, that's right. Yes, that's right. Yes, that's Gina and and yes, her dad. So yes, that was in fact a dream that came true in the end. He he actually formed a partnership with a very good friend of his, Dimitrakis, And so there were two families coming together, and we managed to actually launch the restaurant around about 77 or so. Right. It was very hard work, as you can imagine. I was helping out in the beginning because at that time I was a consultant for Estee Lauder, so part-time, so I was doing both. Helping out at the restaurant as well as
it was very, restaurant work in itself is
very demanding, extremely demanding and arduous, but nevertheless it had to be done. As you know, there are always sacrifices made when you're running your own business, and so it was difficult. And Linda, Dimitrakis' wife, helped out during lunch hours. Lunchtime business. However, we were both doing that, two families working together doing that.
What was that like? How important was sort of the family closeness in running that restaurant?
It was very important because, I mean, if you didn't pull together as a team, it wouldn't work, obviously. But nevertheless, the afternoon business, the lunchtime business, wasn't going very well, so we had to drop that. And I couldn't carry on working in the evening as well as working for Estee Lauder and running a house, etc. Because my son was 10 years old at the time, my son Alexis, and I had to obviously look after the house and home and matters at home. So this went on for a while, and the business we found was not doing too well in its early stages, and the partnership sadly dissolved after a while.
So
and then Chris took over as proprietor, and at that time then Gina came along because Scorpius restaurant, yes, she was born, so she came along, so there was an added responsibility there, and sometimes I found I was overloaded with responsibility. But nevertheless, we all pulled together and
You
helped.
must have a lot of happy memories from
a lot of happy memories, yes. My son was there. My son Alexis was a teenager because he's older than Gina, and he was helping out at the time, and he loved it. He loved talking to customers, interacting with them, and so did we all, and Chris particularly as well. He was extremely good with customers. So we carried on for years and years. In the restaurant.
Do you remember like a lot of this? How old were you at the time when the restaurant was still?
I was quite young. I was a baby. I was in my nappies, and then when they wound it all up, it was 1988, and I was about 8 years old. So still quite young. Yeah. 89.
89.
So still quite young, but I do have a lot of vivid memories. You know, and it's so good because you meet all kinds of people from different walks of life. From university students who used to come in and grab a takeaway, because we had a takeaway upstairs as well as the main restaurant downstairs for diners. So, and we would have live music at weekends with belly dancing and traditional Greek band and everything, and plate smashing to begin with as well.
So they changed the health and safety laws, right?
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
Well, it was a carnival atmosphere, so it was extremely,
But how was it being there together as a family, though? Because that must have been so nice, like everyone working together and spending time together.
It was, because, we lived our lives out in at Scorpius. And of course, with that, we had another business, which was two doors away, and that was a supermarket that I was running with my father-in-law. So family was involved on all sides. Exactly, exactly. So I was there commuting from Chelsea to Hampstead. I used to bring my children, I used to leave Alexis at Paddington College and then leave Gina at Hampstead Parochial School and then come and open the Continental Superstore around about 9 o'clock in the morning or something, where I'd have all the tradespeople waiting there for me, the milkman, the breadman, and so on and so forth. And I was there till 8 in the evening, and then I'd skip over to Scorpius, have a bite to eat, and during the week help out with customers there, and probably get home at about 12 o'clock at night and start the whole ball. Exactly, I didn't know how.
She doesn't know
how I didn't know how I did it, because people used to see me in the morning and during the daytime in the shop with my father-in-law, particularly the students across the road. We had the halls of residence from London University there, so the students used to come into the shop during the day, and then of course they'd visit the restaurant in the evening when it was open, so they'd say hello to me there in the evening, I mean during the day, and then come into the restaurant and say, "You still here?" I said, "Yes, I am." And then they'd come in for another pita bread and tarama tarama salad or what have you later on at about 11 o'clock. And they say, "You're still here?" I said, "Yes, I am."
So when did the restaurant all like wrap up and everything? When did it close?
The restaurant wrapped up finally around about, 89. It was the last New Year's we had was in 88, and it wrapped up in 89 finally.
Now your husband sadly died before.
Sadly, well, that was, yes, much later. He died in...
He passed away in 2008.
Yes.
Sadly,
Yes.
he had a brain tumour, inoperable brain tumour. So
it was a terminal illness, yes.
He battled with that disease for 3 years, and sadly passed away. So, totally unexpected. It was just he was just very unlucky. And this, as my mum's saying, this was much later on after the restaurant, and he'd tried several of the other business projects after that as well. He was very enterprising, always good with his hands, as Mum explained, the building trade, the restaurant business, also horticulture, and also trying to run a nursery as well later on. So all kinds of things that he had his hands in.
How did you cope as a family after he passed away, and how did you because now you're doing something really great with your lives, but how did you sort of cope as a family, and what did you do at the time? It was
very difficult. It was very tough. We had to be mentally very positive and strong and try and stay that way for each other. Obviously the close family,
everyone supported him. All his entire Greek family supported him, and my son particularly looked after him so well on a daily basis.
This is why it's so important. I mean, sometimes people sort of look when we talk about sort of eating together and spending time together. That's where those bonds are formed with family. So if something unfortunate does happen, you've got that support, because
absolutely
a lot of families, for example, that don't have this close, that don't have this family time together. When something like this happens, it's like everyone goes crazy and they go their separate ways. And I know families where maybe some families have started drinking or taking drugs because of the pressure and they can't cope with it. But when sort of you start together solid as a family, you pull together in times like this. You don't pull apart.
Absolutely, Chrissy. I think that makes you much stronger as a human being, going through dilemmas like that and going through torturous times. When sadly things like that happen. And as I said, all the family, all his family pulled together, family and friends, I must say. He had enormous support from all sides. So it was very sad.
But you ladies did something wonderful, which we're going to talk about after the break.
Yes,
because you didn't not do anything, you didn't fall apart.
No, not at all.
You got your strength together, you pulled together as a family again, and you did something really amazing, which we're going to be speaking about just after this. But if you want to get in touch as well, do email on chris@chrissybshow.tv. Now, welcome back. Now, did you know that eating together as a family is also good for your emotional health? So it says here that children of families who eat together report feeling happier and are more optimistic about the future than their peers who have infrequent family meals. Interesting though, isn't it?
Yeah, again, it's nurturing those bonds, isn't it? I think that's it's such an important part of our existence, isn't it? I mean, it's, without sounding too cheesy, it's like soul food, isn't it?
It is. I used to eat all the time with my parents. Actually, Dad used to switch the TV off. We had to but it was nice because we got the chance to chat, to catch up, and it was lovely.
Yeah, psychologically, I think it's very important.
Yeah.
It gives you a sense of warmth, a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, and you can discuss matters. Children can discuss their timetables at school or whatever that's troubling them. Yes, it's an opportunity.
You're more likely to be open. And
exactly,
if you don't have much communication, maybe you take your problems to your friends say, rather than your parents. And then, but there's some interesting ones as well that maybe this will surprise you. It says here, teenagers are less likely to use drugs, smoke and drink alcohol when their families eat together regularly. When we eat dinner together, we catch up with our kids. They know we care, so they're less likely to give in to peer pressure. Very true. And this one as well. The more often teen girls had meals with their families, the less likely they were to have symptoms of depression and suicidal behaviour, and fewer teenage pregnancies. So I think people in this country need to eat more together as families, because we've got a serious problem with teenage pregnancies. And all of these things that I'm reading, by the way, this is all based on surveys and facts. And everything. So I'm not reading out all the things not to bore you about what the source and everything, but this is all based on facts. So very interesting.
That last one's an interesting one.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Definitely. All right, so back to the ladies. Now tell us, so after obviously what happened with your father, Gina, and sort of going through that, the grieving process and everything, but you came out on the other side, you all did as a family. What did you decide to do?
Well, it was actually, we were going through huge emotional trauma at the time with my father's illness. But at the same time, something that I'd been wanting to do, which was get into the events and entertainment side of things, and also explore my creative side more, because I love the performing arts. And but as you know, work in the performing arts and entertainment, it's very inconsistent, and you don't know where work is coming from 1 week to the next. So I channeled my energy, creative energy, into creating a brand new dynamic brand called Pukka PR, and the website pukkapr.com. The main thrust of it being promoting London life and events, because I'd organised some events previously on a freelance basis. It was actually to start an events portfolio on the website, and then it actually took on different direction with event reportage. So we actually started to cover all kinds of London events, world-class events, anything from London Fashion Week to a local community charity event, to sporting events, polo events, supercars, vintage cars.
Oh, wow.
You name it, we've covered it. So we do all the photography, we take all the photos ourselves, and then we go and write up the article. And then
Who writes the articles?
Well, both of us
do,
yeah,
actually.
we both do. Yeah.
Mum has been a main contributor to the website. She's also has her poetry also published on she has a poetry page called Pukka Poets, and some of her poetry and short stories are published there. So that's there for people to enjoy.
Oh, we had a poem. Where's it gone?
It's here.
Oh, is it?
She's
Oh,
got,
so I
yes,
thought
I've got
they
it
had
here.
it. Come to
No,
read
no,
one
yes.
to us.
I'll
Yeah.
read this, yes. This was
Ties in with the
actually
restaurant.
ties in with the restaurant, because this is in '89 when we'd wound up the restaurant.
Okay.
And I'd written this poem for Chris. And it says, to Scorpius. A Greek taverna in Finchley started, to Scorpius bricks and mortar carted, demolishing walls, laying the foundation, Chris the proprietor everywhere darted. On completion, patrons showed their admiration. Thereafter, Chris from work couldn't be parted. Plodding away full steam for years, to the surprise of all his peers, until Chris lost interest and grew tired, for his health began to cause him fears. Finally, Scorpius closed down and expired, where party people had happily swilled beers. Wow. So I read this to him, and he sums it up. He sums it up. Yes, exactly. So as I said, it was a sacrifice. It was a family business. It had a carnival atmosphere, as they said in the beginning. Scorpius itan neon ikoyenia kon kendro stin kardia to Finchley. Translated, which is Scorpius was a new family business, family in fact place or centre in the heart of Finchley, and that's how it was advertised in Greek newspapers, etc.
Are you putting all your energy now into Pukka PR?
Absolutely, yes, very much so. So as I said, those were days in the 70s and 80s, and I actually did all the paintings on the walls, the murals. For Scorpius. I don't know. I think
pictures, haven't we?
Oh, those are the.
we did
Oh, they look familiar.
Yes, they do. That's the
Postman from
Nitin.
EastEnders.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Nitin Ganatra,
And again, through events, we've again met so many people from all walks of life, in all different business sectors. You know, you've seen some celebrities there, and you know, all kinds of different professionals, from finance to property to IT, fashion. Again, you name it. It's very enriching, and so we get to socialise.
and some lovely chefs as well.
and
Now you work.
Yes.
No, exactly.
Absolutely.
Food is
And
one of
tasting
our
some
favourite.
good
Those
food.
plans for you. You can make little mini ones.
Oh, they work very well as little canapes,
they? 'Cause
actually.
it
Yeah,
sounds
really well,
really
really
nice.
well.
You know, as with everything, food is absolutely essential in bringing people together.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, whatever event it is, if food's on the table, it certainly you get a crowd.
It's a
gathering
wonderful
around
unifying
very
thing.
quickly.
It's
It is,
a
isn't it?
unifying thing,
It
I
is.
think.
It is a
Absolutely.
unifying factor.
You know,
in life.
there's a big reason why people like to go out and eat
Yes,
together, because it is
absolutely.
it's like one common thing that people can share, that one common experience that none of us can really avoid.
Yes,
completely.
And that's one of the things that husbands do sometimes when they've been naughty and they want to get back on side with their wife, and they do this nice meal, don't they?
Produce it.
These lovely meals, candlelit meals.
I think there's a lot of women that arrive home and the husband's cooked. They're like, "What have you done?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
What have you broke?
Who does most of the cooking at home, though?
Huh?
Who does most of the cooking at home? Really, you do?
Yeah, I'm the chef. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that must be so
Oh,
nice.
that's lovely. Your wife must be extremely happy.
I love cooking for people. That's the thing. I do like cooking for
Don't you ever
people.
want to
Some
break
people-
though? Like,
When I was working in kitchens, when I was actually working in commercial kitchens and cooking all day, then I was absolutely repelled by cooking like in the evenings. But now it's a way for me to channel creativity. It's a way for me to relax and unwind.
Exactly.
Plus, I love experimenting with food.
Yeah.
So for me, it's fun. I
Yes,
just get a
yeah.
kick out of it. It's not like it's not a chore. It's just something I enjoy doing.
Yes, and
And
some
then
people
go,
do.
oh
like
yeah,
yourself,
next time I'm
yeah.
going to do this, and just
Yeah.
I get myself so excited, then I have
Yeah.
to just run upstairs and write it down.
Oh, lovely.
Well, again, it's
Yeah.
another form of creativity.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
through
yeah,
food.
yeah. And that's it. And when I'm working on my books and stuff, it's just like that whole thing of like perfecting things and getting people to test out the dishes and
it does.
logging the disasters as well, which is
well.
because there are every now and
Like,
again
of
there's,
any,
there's a
yeah.
few
Of course.
stinkers come along, but yeah, most of the time
Exactly.
it's all good.
Oh, so there you go. You can consider Dale for your the little mini things.
Why not? Yeah.
For the canapes, absolutely, yeah,
Canapes.
definitely.
Tell us some of the favourite events that you've done. What was it?
Oh, there are lots.
There's so many.
How many did you do a
Yes,
month?
It varies. I mean, it just depends what's happening. I mean, for covering events, we have to apply for media accreditation. So, you know, sometimes we'll get it and sometimes we won't. So it's just a numbers game, really.
Okay.
If I find out about an event that takes my fancy, I think, oh, I'd love to cover this. Well, you know, I apply and see. And, you know, it's been great because it's such a challenge, even going through that process of trying to, you know, apply for media accreditation, especially for the more high-profile events, because there's so many people who want to cover them, and because of the whole online digital era now and everything, is so many websites and bloggers and you're competing with. So.
Can you imagine?
We both love cars, so we love covering car events. For instance, Gumball 3000 Rally.
You love
which
food.
was-
You
we
love
love food.
being
Yeah,
creative. You love cars. You've got a lot in
yes.
common, haven't you?
So yeah, absolutely. Well, the love of cars came from my father because he absolutely adored cars. So all kinds of cars, vintage cars, and so on. So I think
Yeah, I
that's
know
the
people
reason
say
why.
it's more unusual.
For
You're women,
for girls
but
to,
you know,
yeah.
you love cars.
Cars.
But I mean, you know, women can love cars,
Why
too.
not? Yeah, we drive cars after all. So why
That's
can't
true.
we? Yes, yeah.
That's very
So
true.
yeah. So
What
we
about
covered-
plans for the future?
Well, to keep going as we are, you know, people enjoy. Obviously, get pleasure from viewing the website. There's so many photos from all the events and reading
the
articles,
articles, yeah.
while people are still, you know, logging onto the website and enjoying it. You know, we find it rewarding.
And
doing,
looking at the
doing
photos
work
because
and
there's
seeing-
photojournalism
yeah.
there as well. So we
seeing
get
the
the
events
photos out
come
as well.
together, and you know, people think that we live a very glamorous life by looking at the photos, but it's
hard
not
work.
quite the
Yeah,
case.
There's a lot
You
of
have to
hard
see it
work,
from-
Chrissy, behind
from the other
yeah.
side as well,
Yeah.
which is
Imagine.
the hours and hours of sitting in front of the screen
Planning
and you know, writing, editing,
Editing,
publishing. You know, so I've often been up till the early hours of the morning till I get something finished and
But you're doing
and out
something
there.
you love, which is the main thing. And you're working
Absolutely.
together, which I think is lovely.
Yes, and highly
It's a
creative
team
as
effort,
well.
yeah.
Lovely.
It is very much.
And Dale, any plans for a new book?
Another one out in January,
Oh, do you?
and yeah,
What's this one on particularly?
it's called Healthy Every Day. So it's looking at all the areas where people struggle to make healthier choices,
Okay.
like working lunches, food on the go, that kind of stuff, and offering solutions, and yeah, filming stuff in the US and doing all sorts of odds and
now.
ends. Yeah,
When are you
yeah.
going?
On Tuesday.
Are you?
Yeah. We're going. The first
nice.
section, we're going out into the Arizonan desert with a Native American elder to trek for a certain rare cactus that's got some amazing properties and stuff.
Really?
So
Fantastic.
that'd be
Oh,
fun.
you've got to tell us about that when you get
Yeah,
back.
I will. I'll
That
keep a
sounds
journal and
That
take
sounds
some.
very exciting.
Yeah.
Take some
Are they
awesome
going to film it and
photos.
everything? Or
Oh yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah,
lovely.
totally. It's gonna be.
Oh, cool. Looking forward to that then.
Yeah.
All right, so we have reached the end of the show, but thank you so much.
Oh, it's been
We're going to be
wonderful.
eating afterwards, aren't we? Trying
Definitely.
to
Yeah, chow down.
Yes.
All right, it's been a pleasure speaking to all of you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
inviting
very
us and
much.
having us here. It's been
And I
really
do
lovely.
hope you've enjoyed the show today and also picked up some great facts about why it's very good to eat together as a family. And you know, someone might say, oh, you know, well, I don't really have sort of a family to sit down. Maybe you're by yourself at home. Why not invite some friends over? Or don't sort of just isolate yourself. Make sure you're quite a sociable person. There must be people that you get along with. So invite some friends over, cook a meal, sit down and talk, and you just end up being happier. Don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what we used to do.
Only, yeah.
We used to do that all the time. Yeah.
So Friday we're going to be speaking all about body shapes and why wearing the right kind of clothes can really do wonders for your body and how you look. So that's all going to be on Friday. So if you want more information about the program tonight, you can visit the website chrissybshow.tv, and all our guest details will be there too. So do join us again. Bye bye for now. You got us lost for 2 hours in London.
That's not my fault.
It's your fault. You're supposed to be navigator. You take calls when we're at crucial moments.
Yay, we made
Gosh, I can't believe
it.
it.
The Bob. The tent's moving. The tent's moving. No, that's what these are for. The handy spare ones from Starbucks. Ketchup from McDonald's. It's not a risotto. You don't have to keep stirring it. You should let it cook.
It's like soup.
Stop stirring it.
We should go on MasterChef, should we? We should start a cooking show.
Stop stirring. Let it cook. Okay, stop stirring. Just obsessed with stirring. Stop stirring. Whites from KFC. Oh, it's a bit. Oh no! Oh, there's insects under there.
What is that?
We get a plate for the eggs.
I knew I was going to do that.
I put that on the barbecue by mistake.
Yeah, I can taste sand, like sandy dirt.